This is Digging Deeper with At the Coalface, brought to you with the support of New South Wales Mining, responsibly mining coal for today and tomorrow, with experts restoring the land after mining at every single mine. And here's your host, Jessica Rouse.
Now, some of you might remember we were at IMARC last year. It was such an awesome event. I made so many connections, including with Emily Jane Schutte. Now, EJ was on the panel with 4 others talking about how tomorrow's young talent like EJ would confront today's mining issues. EJ is an environmental engineering student at Newcastle Uni and actually doing a double degree, and among other things is the president of the AusIMM Hunter student chapter. EJ, thanks for joining us.
That's okay. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me on, Jess.
Now, something that stood out to me from the panel was something that you said it was your passion for the industry and trying to stop people from calling coal dirty.
Yeah, Jess, you do remember correctly. So I'm a student at the University of Newcastle and I am studying an environmental engineering degree. It's been fantastic, but unfortunately a lot of very reasonable young people and students there have an issue with coal mining, and at face value it seems obvious as to why, but it's just such a small part of the story that is mining and coal in general. So I think it's really important that young people get better exposure to how great a career in mining can actually be and what it can offer them into local communities as well.
Yeah, exactly. So what prompted you to undertake your particular degree?
Well, I actually, like a lot of young people, I suppose I was quite socially conscious in a lot of ways. So I was a vegan since I was about 14 years old. I saw this really long PETA video. Yeah. It got me thinking about mostly environmental reasons, actually. So the reason I started getting into mining, it was kind of completely by accident. So I actually chose to study a Bachelor of Environmental Engineering. I didn't actually know what that means, and I still kind of don't. It's very broad. There's a bit of a joke in engineering circles. We don't really know how to define what we do. But environmental engineering, there's a lot of places in mining for people like us. So I learned a lot about the mining industry, not actually through my university, because sadly we don't offer any mining programs, but through my connection to the AusIMM. So there's this girl at the University of Newcastle, Sophie Glogly. She's been so influential with me. She had gotten a student chapter together, and Sophie was looking for people to join because, mining gets a bit of a bad rap in the area. So I thought, look, I'll give this a go. We'll see what it turns into. I was already involved with the Women in Engineering as a secretary at that point. I'm now the Vice President of Industry with that club. But I joined Sophie as the Vice President of the AusIMM Hunter Student Chapter. And a couple of years later, I'm now the President. She's just graduated. Congratulations, Sophie. And we went from a team of 2 to now a team of 13. So that's honestly just been the time of my life. We go on we go on site tours, we go on plant tours, we host industry networking nights. I've just met so many inspirational people in those circles, and I think I'm just following where I feel most connected, and I'm building those connections in mining and building a passion for the innovation that we see in this industry and just everything that it has to offer.
That's awesome because, technically at the University of Newcastle, you can't do that mining component of the degree. You can start your general engineering degree at the University of Newcastle and do a transfer program, which is to another uni at Wollongong, UNSW.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah. So funnily enough, even though we have all those mines, if you want to study to be a mining engineer or a geologist or a geoscientist, you'll have to go to Armidale or any of the other universities in Sydney to study geoscience and geology. However, there's a mining program that UON does offer. So you go and do 2 years of a general engineering degree, just general engineering courses, and then you can finish off the final 2 years at Wollongong, or you can go to like Sydney or UNSW, I believe. Yeah. So there's somewhat of an option, but it is quite difficult if that's your chosen career path.
Exactly. It's insane, as you say, because we have all of those mines on our doorstep. So clearly, it's a career path that a lot of young people in the Hunter Valley are probably going to go and do. I think it was last year that the University of Wollongong nearly lost their mining engineering degree, which would have been absolutely tragic.
Yeah, that was quite shocking. I know people personally in the industry who actually worked very hard to keep it there. So there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes to uphold the quality and standards of the work going into our local industries. So yeah, it's just very sad to see what's happening as a result of a lack of interest and other forces at play, I suppose. Yeah, and the sad thing is, so many of the graduates coming out of the University of Newcastle end up going into the mines anyway. Whether you're a mechanical, civil, chemical engineer, there's so much work for us out in the mines. And the sad thing is that those students, they're often really unprepared for those types of industries.
And with doing what you do, tell me more about the AusIMM stuff, because that is really a group at the uni that's offering students the opportunity to go out to mines and get that experience so they're not, walking in to a job completely blind.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm sure everyone here listening is quite well versed with the AusIMM. But for those who don't know, the AusIMM is the Australasian Institute of Mining and Metallurgy, or Metallurgy, however you wish to pronounce that. There's a bit of a dispute there. So we have region branches, but also societies like WIMNET, Women in Mining, or the Geoscience Society, or the ENC people. But the great thing about it is the student chapters, which is where I come in. So we kind of act as the bridge between the university and industry. So a lot of the other student chapters from around the country, they have their mining programs. So all of those students are all in similar degrees. And what is kind of what has been a setback for us, but actually works out to be quite an advantage, is that we are exploiting all of the non-traditional pathways into mining. So we have such a diversity of students across all different fields of engineering, science, even business and law and software. So that gives us quite a competitive edge. For example, we've got a website coming out that our software engineering student has put together for students to interact with. So we have an interactive calendar and a blog where you can see all about us.
That's awesome.
And see all of our other social media pages, and get in touch with us to join us for industry networking nights, as I mentioned before, where you can come and speak to people who actually work in the industry. It's not just a recruitment drive, but you have other engineers and scientists and like lawyers and business people and accountants, where you can come and get some advice from those people and have a drink with us as well in the middle of Newcastle. A beautiful place to be. Yeah, so other than the networking opportunities, we can also take you on mine and plant tours. Every year we go to the New Leaders Summit and the National Mining Games, which is a fantastic experience. It's quite funny, actually. You get all of the AusIMM student chapters around the country, and you get them together either in Brisbane or in Perth, and we all competitively pan for gold. It sounds very funny, but it's so much fun. So it's 2 days of conferences where you hear from different parts of the industry, whether that's from engineers, scientists, even from HR and psychologists and work health and safety people. And you learn so much there, and you have companies with their expos going on in the other room when we need a break every now and then. There's breakout workshops going on, and then 2 days of competitive gold panning among other activities, which is just so much fun. It's such a fantastic way it's like the cherry on top of the student experience,
Yeah, exactly. It's so interesting, right? I mean, I went to the University of Newcastle. I went to school in the Hunter Valley, went to uni, didn't do anything mining related. I mean, I did communications for media and journalism, but I don't even remember, I don't remember AusIMM really being a thing when I was at uni. I graduated in 2018. I think it was never really mentioned, even those non-traditional pathways into mining. And certainly at school, it really wasn't something that was brought up as an option for students to want to go and pursue, whether it be an engineering degree to get into mining or anything like that. But I feel like it is changing, do you think?
I see what you're saying. In high school, no one's really promoting these pathways.
No.
You often have people just, parroting things they've either heard in the media or, personal feelings they might have. So traditionally, the AusIMM, that whole sphere is kind of just, it's a very well kept secret with the mining engineering students. But what we're doing as part of our broader initiatives as a student chapter is to try to kind of boost the reputation of mining beyond those circles. We actually would love to get involved with high school students. There's this company called Core, which they were actually at IMARC. I'm not sure if you had a chat to them, but what they're doing is they've put together plenty of geoscience educational video games, and they go around to primary schools and high schools, and they show kids what's actually on offer there. And I think that's probably the most important place to go if you want a strong industry full of good people, because by the time these students get to university and those programs have already been cut due to a lack of interest, like, that's your problem. We need the interest of people younger. And I think people need to be aware of just how much there is on offer in mining. Like, being with the AusIMM, the AusIMM is a good place for you, whether you're an engineer, whether you're an operator, whether you're in a lab, whether you're a consultant. The industry is just so broad. We need engineers, we need scientists, we need business people, we need accountants, we need lawyers, we need medical professionals, we need occupational therapists. Like, it's endless. And obviously marketing and communications, all of those things are so important, but our students just aren't aware of those opportunities. So that's the kind of gap in the market where we can make an impact with students, just to promote these sorts of pathways and see what they can get out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, high school is where you're not being forced, but you're being heavily encouraged to make a decision on what path you want to take when you leave school, when you finish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Can you tell me a little bit about some of the site tours and places that you have been able to take the AusIMM student?
So what we typically do is between 2 and 4 site tours per year or semester, depending on what the schedule's like. We go out to the coal mines in the Hunter Valley typically, but we're trying to branch out now and maybe go visit a coal-fired power station, or even go to the steelworks. All sorts of things. But for now, it's been mostly just open cut mining. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, there's more than just the open cut pits, for jobs. There's so much in the coal chain, whether it's the coal trains, the Port of Newcastle, there's so many places in Newcastle where there's jobs, and there's so many things, as you've already mentioned, jobs that the industry needs.
There's so many different sides to the industry, and that was something that I think a lot of the students I brought with me to IMARC, who weren't aware of what's going in mining, a lot of them are studying business. And they were quite shocked to see everything that was on offer, from the geoscience education to all the types of plant that you have, every consulting company that was there, like all sorts of things. Yeah, it's so broad, so many different sides to the industry.
Yeah, exactly. As a young person, I'm sure you're surrounded by so many like-minded people at university, but I'm sure you, like I, have friends or family who just don't see the coal mining industry in the positive way that we perhaps see the coal mining industry. How do you tackle those conversations, those situations? Do you find it challenging?
It's so challenging. That was the word I was about to use. Yeah, I think you've got to be very patient, but also if you just approach it with a bit of empathy, you realise, like, that was me just a few years ago. Not that I ever had anything completely against mining. It's just you hear things in the media and you hear things in your social circles, and these people are, especially coming from like environmental spaces at the University of Newcastle, like, these are actually very reasonable, very well educated young people, and they're trying to make moral decisions, like, don't we all? It's all coming from a very good place, but unfortunately that's just such a tiny little piece of this really broad story, and unfortunately I think people just write it off a bit too much, and why wouldn't they, really? So I kind of see that as that's my chance to go in there and actually, I don't want to say educate because it sounds so condescending, but having an education in environmental engineering, I do feel like I have some footing to be able to help people understand what's actually so great about the industry, how necessary it is. Then you have the other side to what's actually the solution to coal. It's renewables, but renewables doesn't happen without mining either.
Exactly.
It's really interesting when I go to the Welcome Week stalls. We just set up a stall and do a bit of work promoting our club.
Yeah.
And students approach us. They don't actually know what the AusIMM is, so they approach us thinking, "What are you guys about?" At some point, it does come out, "Oh, we're actually a mining club, or a resources club, or a minerals club." And they get a bit of a funny look on their face, but you just tell them a little bit more about it, and by the end of the conversation, they actually seem kind of interested to go on a site tour. And I think it's all because of that one moment where you ask these people, "What do you think solar panels and wind turbines are made of?" And you kind of just watch the cogs turn, and you see their worldview change a little bit. And they go, "Oh, true." but But it's not their fault. Like, if you're going and studying business or law, these are just not things that we have to think about. Like, we're so lucky to live in a society where we can go to the supermarket and all our food is cut up for us. You know, we can turn our light switches on. We never have to think about it. But the second you do, you realize, oh, there's actually so much I don't know about this, and I have a lot to learn here. And if you're personable and polite and respectful to people, then, and if they want to engage with you, I think that's the best way to change hearts and minds. Just make friends. It's always people are much more willing to listen to you if you are respectful instead of just, you know, parroting a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I must admit, I've noticed over the last sort of 6 to 12 months, we've been doing a lot of things with Coal Australia in New South Wales and in Queensland, promoting the industry positively and talking to lots of, you know, not just people who work in the mining industry, well, not just, you know, people in the pits and that sort of thing, but CEOs and bosses and people higher up. And they're all openly admitting that the mining industry has never really done a very good job of promoting itself and what it does. And I think that narrative, it is changing, and, you know, it is changing for the better, thanks to things like Coal Australia, Jobs for Mining, people talking about it and openly talking about mining.
Exactly. I totally see where people are coming from, wanting to stay out of it, but unfortunately, that really narrow, limited narrative has dominated, and the unfortunate consequence of that is that we don't actually have students who want to take up the mantle and come and join the industry and uphold those standards and improve on it by, you know, leading innovation in the industry. Or even what we have. Students just aren't aware of how fantastic the Australian mining industry is because people have been very quiet about it for a little bit too long.
Exactly. Obviously, with where you're at in your degree, you've done a lot of vacation work and been to a lot of sites, and through AusIMM, obviously, you've had access to quite a few mine sites and plants and that sort of thing. Have you come across anything that has surprised you or something that you've gone, whoa, I didn't know that?
Yeah, of course. Like, I didn't actually realise just how much mining did for local communities until I got my first internship. Like, so much money goes into funding community initiatives. Like, the companies really are doing a lot.
Yeah, like, yes, they have to do that through voluntary planning agreements and legislation and things like that, but they go above and beyond.
Yeah, of course. And something that I've been totally shocked by is how generous all of the local the mining companies have been with students. I've been in contact with people from all sorts of mines, you know, BHP, Glencore, Yancoal, Tees, Peabody. These companies are so generous with their time. Like, they take a whole day out just to walk us around site and to get us into these places that are quite difficult to get into, like touring the CHPP. Like, it's not a simple thing. But these companies and the people, you know, leading these projects, they're so happy to educate the next generation. And not just that, but our sponsors. We have all of these wonderful sponsors for our club. Like, we could not do anything without them. So whether they're huge mining companies or they're small consultancies, people in the industry are very happy to fund our initiatives and to actually help students and mentor them, and just to let them know what's on offer so they can make a good decision, a good career decision, because there's so many different paths engineering students can go down. So I think, you know, in the broader sense, the industry hasn't done the best job of promoting themselves, but the people that I meet all throughout Newcastle and the Hunter Valley, at least, I think they've done a fantastic job trying to get students on board.
It's so good. I mean, even coming at it from me being a journalist and talking to these mining companies and wanting to do all of these positive stories, they give you all the time of day. They want to share the positive stuff they're doing. I was out at Port Waratah the other week with the Hunter Marine Surveyors, and I thought we were just going to, you know, go down to the wharf and have a look at what they do. But all of a sudden, we're on a coal ship and we're talking to the crew, and the crew is giving me all their time of day, as is Louis from Hunter Marine Surveyors, you know, and I learnt so much and I saw so much, and it was all awesome and positive, and I get to then share all of that with everybody else. So everyone else gets to hear the awesome stuff that's happening. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah, it's fantastic exposure. Like, so many people who get involved in these sorts of spheres, like, I just keep hearing really similar things, as in these companies are just so generous with their time. So happy to show you what's going on and to show you actually how complex it is, rather than just the usual narrative of brushing mining off as
Exactly.
just a bunch of corporations. Like, I think people would be surprised just to learn that all of those people on site generally just want to do a great job.
Yeah.
So where are you at with your degree? You're nearly done. What are your goals? What are your plans? Do you know where you want to be when you finish?
Yeah, of course. I'm entering my final year this year. I actually go back on Tuesday, so I'm a little bit nervous because I've got a couple of weeks left of my internship. So I'm going to have to work very hard for those first few weeks.
Yeah.
I've been so lucky to actually be offered a scholarship for my last year of study. It's the EEF scholarship, which is offered by the AusIMM, which that's another great thing about the AusIMM. You guys should join because not only do you get great exposure to industry and to networks, but also you get to apply for so many different scholarships that they have on offer.
That's awesome.
And involvement with the AusIMM and contribution to the mining industry is one of the selection criteria for these scholarships.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky to be offered that. So yeah, full-time study, 1 year to go. And then I'm going to have to apply for a bunch of grad roles really soon. So yeah, just keeping my head down and staying focused on the club, which is not actually just the club. I've got to manage my student chapter, but also I attend the Hunter Region branch meetings and help them with their events. And I help with their social media, which I'm trying to get started right now to get another layer of promotion going there. I'm also on the WIMNet committee, the WIMNet New South Wales committee, which is the Women in Mining Network, which also functions under the AusIMM, another fantastic organisation that I think everyone should join. It's not just open to women, it's for men too. Everyone's invited. Such fantastic events. Yeah. And then I also have the Women in Engineering separate organisation on campus. Yeah. It's a UON society. So we'll be running very similar events through there, but it's slightly more targeted to women. Once again, all inclusive to everyone. But yeah, that's more of an independent club, that one. But it's all fantastic. It's all, a lot of effort, but I think it's going to pull together.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And you mentioned women in mining. I told you we could go anywhere over this half an hour in this podcast, EJ. Do you have, I guess let's start with, do you have an even spread, do you think, of men and women in the AusIMM, like Hunter student chapter, do you think?
Well, at first, no. So last year we went to New Leaders Summit and the mining games. And I was the only girl on the team. So we actually had to compete as a men's team because you needed a minimum of 2 girls to be on the mixed team. So I was kind of letting the team down with my lack of upper body strength for a while there. But that's okay. We had so much fun. Like we're very lucky to go to these things because our club has really only just started up. We could barely make a team the year before. So I was just really happy to have a full team.
Yeah.
However, this year, now that we're a team of 13, I think we have 6 girls on the team. So
that's
isn't
awesome.
that fantastic? Yeah, that's so clearly we're doing something right, promoting to the girls and the guys now. So yeah, we've had so much growth. It's been fantastic. Yeah,
that's
very
awesome.
lucky to have the team that I do now. Like I can't tell you how easy they make everything now.
Yeah.
It's been amazing.
That's so good. Do you think women are getting more keen to be involved in things like the mining groups at universities, interested in taking a pathway into the industry? I mean, in the time that I've been reporting in the industry and interviewing people, you hear plenty of negative stories, but there's certainly plenty of positive ones too. Do you think women who are coming through are concerned about those negative stories that they may hear?
I think every woman gets a little bit nervous about being in situations where they're maybe underrepresented, or maybe feel a bit out of their depth because it's not a space where they have too much familiarity. But to be honest with you, I've had no issues as a girl in these spaces, and I don't know many people that have, at least not in my generation. And I know there's obviously discrimination that's happened in the past, and you have cases where that still happens. It's very unfortunate. Like just for example, knowing that women couldn't go underground until the 80s.
Yeah, exactly.
Spirits underground. Like I didn't realize that Australia was so superstitious.
Crazy.
So like you hear the stories, but at least in my generation, and maybe I'm just totally inexperienced. Like I haven't been in the industry long, so I'm probably not the best person to ask. I can only speak for my generation. And I have never had an issue, and I don't know anyone else my age who's had an issue in the industry. So I'd say, a lot of there's not many men at the site that I currently work at. But that's not to say that we're having any problems as girls there. In fact, all the men that I work with, they have wives, they have sisters, they have daughters, and they have so much respect for women. I don't think they would ever impose themselves in a way. And unfortunately, once again, there are sort of fringe cases where that does happen, and it's very sad. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think hopefully we're at a point now in the generation coming through that we're leaving all of that negative crap and, all that crap that you used to hear behind us, really.
Yeah, I'm so lucky to be entering the industry now rather than, a couple of decades ago or even a decade ago. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's always awesome chatting to young people like yourself, EJ, who are studying and wanting to get into the industry and are so positive about it. So thank you so much for joining us. I am going to put all of the links and things that you mentioned on the podcast description. And also there is a story on EJ and the AusIMM Hunter Student chapter in the February edition of At the Coalface, which is out now, our first edition for the year. EJ, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jess. This has been so much fun. Thank you.
Well, that's today's episode of Digging Deeper with At the Coalface. Thanks to New South Wales mining responsibly for today and tomorrow. Find out more about the industry's responsible mining practices and meet more great people from the industry on their social media channels. Now, wherever you are listening to this episode, make sure you leave us a rating and a review. We'd really appreciate it. You can find out more info at our website. And if you've got a story or an idea for an episode, please get in touch, Jess at thecoalface.net.au. We'll see you next time.